All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, then. So let's go ahead and get started. Last week's analysis was fire. We'll kind of go over that like we always do. And then we'll get into this upcoming week's analysis for the indices. But first, as always, let's go ahead and start off in prayer. I'm going to read a psalm today. I just feel like not even feel Psalms are so fire, and I've been getting into them more and more in this last, like, I want to say month now. And I just get so hyped when I read them. So that's what I'm going to do. All right. I'm reading Psalm 112 today. So, dear Heavenly Father, I'm going to read this psalm to you today, Lord, as this is an approved prayer to praise your name and to bring glory to your name. So lend your ear to me, lend your ear to us in this meeting today. Psalm 112, praise the Lord. Blessed is the man who fears the Lord, who greatly delights in his commandments. His offspring will be mighty in the land. The generation of the upright will be blessed. Wealth and riches are in his house, and his righteousness endures forever. Light dawns in the darkness for the upright. He is gracious, merciful, and righteous. It is well with the man who deals generously and lends, who conducts his affairs with justice. For the righteous will never be moved. He will be remembered forever. He is not afraid of bad news. His heart is firm, trusting in the Lord. His heart is steady. He will not be afraid until he looks in triumph on his adversaries. He has distributed freely. He has given to the poor. His righteousness endures forever. His horn is exalted in honor. The wicked man sees it and is angry. He gnashes his teeth and melts away. The desire of the wicked will perish. Amen. I just love that one. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Amen. Yes. So edifying. Okay. Okay, so I realized last week I didn't even talk about the news, which is kind of funny because it makes me realize how much um my analysis is like purely technical, and it still hits even if I don't even look at the news. I'm not even kidding. Like it's still, which just goes to show how, like, I'm not trying to shout myself out, but it just goes to show how much like technical analysis is like the biggest portion that you should be thinking about, and the biggest part you should be focusing on, because technical analysis trumps everything. Fundamental analysis is strictly going to tell you when these things that we see in technical are going to happen, which is pretty cool as well. So, but I just think it's crazy that I didn't even pay attention to that, because last week was CPI, which is a pretty significant week. How long have I been trading? I've been trading for, it was 3 years in April, which is so crazy to think about. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the dollar real quick. What did we say on the dollar last week? Price opens a bit lower, possibly squeaking last week's low, then pushes up to retrace the previous week's candle, then pushes down to sell into the next bearish objective, which is the OTE level. So obviously we had a bearish week on the dollar. So let me just take a look real quick. before I start talking. Okay, so basically what I just wrote was, this was the previous week's low that I just read out loud that we made an analysis about, and price opened lower and it swept that low on Monday, and then it pushed up to retrace this bearish movement, and then it sold off for the week. It didn't push up as high as I would like it to, but it did push into this trend line liquidity right here, which is realistically all it needs, especially when we have events that happen, such as CPI. But it followed our option number one, and it sold into, I believe we fibbed this price leg right here. It sold into our next bearish objectives, which was, let me just go back. And so we had the OT of the 3 month, we had the 6 month marked, and then we had simply filling imbalances left by the 1 hour chalk. Okay, so after price retraced from sweeping the previous week's low on Monday, then retraced, then sold off, we came and we filled obviously any imbalances that was in this price leg. It looks like we also sold into the 3 month optimal trade entry that we also had listed in our analysis. And so it looks like we even sold further than that. So from that sell, we met our first two objectives. Okay. So let's check on our third objective that we had, because we like to do them in order, right? You want to go to your closest one first. Oh, you can't see my screen. Oh, I need to share it. Okay. Oh, thank you for that. Can you see it now? Might need that. Might come in handy. Okay. Okay, let me just like reiterate what I was talking about real quick. So last week we were anticipating a bearish week, which is this option number one. Our bearish objectives was the optimal trade entry of the 3 month bullish candle, or imbalances left on this 1 hour time frame uptrend that had a break to the upside. And then the last one was going to be the 6 month objectives. And so this is our 6 month time frame. So we have a bullish order block here. And these were our lowest objectives. So upon last week's sell, we're getting close to the 50% retracement of this order block. And then I'll just show you what I mean on the 3 month. So here's that bullish candle that I just referenced. We fibbed that. Price came and sold below the optimal trade entry zone. So the optimal trade entry zone is going to be the 0.7 to the 0.88. We sold past that. So that was our second objective. And our first objective was let me zoom out. This break to the upside right here, this chalk, I believe this is a daily chalk, was to see if price would come down and fill any imbalances to see if it wants to do that and then turn around and continue higher, because there is a higher time frame uptrend, which is this right here. We need to sweep this high to continue this uptrend. But it smashed through those first two. Okay. And the CPI was really good, the data that came out. So it's showing that the economy is doing what it needs to do to allow us to raise, or excuse me, lower interest rates in the future. So the economy's shrinking. So that's obviously going to push the dollar down in value. Okay. So yeah, so that analysis was pretty spot on. I was hoping that it would come into these lows right here, these equal lows of liquidity, but it hasn't done that yet. So it looks like that is going to be something that's going to happen in this next upcoming week. But let's go ahead and get started on this next week. It's going to be the 14th to the 19th. 14th. Okay. So we start with the dollar as always, because the dollar is inversely correlated with the stock market. Because if the dollar is going one way, for instance, up in value, people are going to invest in that, and they need to get liquid cash from their investments in the stock market. When the dollar is going down, they're going to want to take their money and put it in the stock market, because so they're inversely correlated like that. Okay. So we're just looking at this upcoming week. Let me just peep the news this time. Retail sales. Okay, so it's nothing too crazy. So we're probably going to see like a continuation of what the CPI saw. And then I need to actually read some articles because it's just there's probably definitely going to be language in here. September clues. Market focus on what officially provide more clues after July gathering. Because September is coming up so quick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but everyone's saying September right now. So logically speaking, from an institutional standpoint, if they're going to lower interest rates on the dollar this year in September, that's obviously going to tank the price of the dollar. So if I was an institutional bank, I would want to sell price from the highest point possible. So I'm honestly still bullish right now. We may get pushes to the downside for some liquidity sweeps, but that's just my personal opinion. That's what makes the most sense. Why would the institution sell from the bottom? You know what I'm saying? And so everybody's going to be looking at all this data, and they're going to be like, oh, okay, like it's coming out, it's going to drop the dollar, da 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 da. And so they're possibly just creating liquidity on the sell side to then go back up again. So that being said, like I'm bullish on the dollar until they literally start lowering interest rates. Because regardless of what all this data says, regardless of all these speeches people have, the interest rates are still high. And we technically haven't broken structure on this trend either as well. So, but it's come and hit this area multiple times. So it's definitely creating some liquidity. So we have another highly bearish candle right here. So obviously if we fib that like we always do, it'll give you some ideas to where price can go. So you have your 50%, and then you have your optimal trade entry zone right here. So there's sell side liquidity here, which looks like price is heading for that. So if we want to see healthy price action, we'll get maybe an open lower and then to retrace into some area of this candle. And then we want to sell deeper into, there's probably an order block here on a lower time frame. This is technically a whole order block, but it's this liquidity that I'm mainly seeing right here. Keep in mind that there's also a fair value gap right here. So we'll mark that. I'm deleting this. There's also a fair value gap right here that price could just come and retrace into as well, and then sell off. So if we get a break of this high right here on this candle, like don't be alarmed. Let's see what that looks like on a lower time frame. Yeah, and look at all the liquidity right there as well. This, all these equal highs. So if that happens, don't be alarmed, because there's a lot of sell side here. You know what I'm saying? And then let's just double check this one. Powell speaks on Monday. So this is definitely something we're going to want to pay attention to. For retail sales. I feel like he's going to say the opposite of what he said last week. Because if you think about it, he testified before the data came out. So he's like, oh yeah, I don't know. I don't have enough information. Like it still looks like I can't say blah, blah, blah. And then the next day the data comes out, and so then he's going to go against. So like, if you can't tell, they're literally pumping the market with their words. It's just like, it's just what they do. So I expect that Powell's going to say something probably in slight, at least opposition to what he said on Tuesday and Wednesday of the previous week. Okay, so for me, that is the bullish scenario. So analysis. Oopsie. Oh yeah, and just another thing to back up what I'm talking about on the dollar still being bullish is this order block right here. Obviously, this is a 6-month order block. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that price needs to go up all the way up here and make a new high. You know what I'm saying? It's obviously a bullish order block. It's going to have a bullish reaction. I'm not saying that it's going to like come all the way up here or something like that. It could maybe fail to make a new high, but it's still going to have a bullish reaction. But I would bet it's going to come at least to retest this high right here. So either way, we'll be getting a reaction of some sort, but okay, so I'm going to mark 50%. Okay. And then what is the 0.6 minus? Cannot type today. So let's just see where that lines up on the chart. I mean, for real, guys, we really cannot make this up. Look at that. What did I just say? These equal lows. Why are they right at the 50% mark of the 6-month order block? You literally cannot make this stuff up. And then this would be the next bearish objective on that we would want to aim to. I'm not saying it can't go lower, but you watch my videos, you know I always take the closest one first. I'm doing futures now. I strictly trade on the index. So I trade the stock market, I trade NAS 100, and I trade US 30, which I'm doing an analysis on the dollar right now because it helps me with my analysis, and we're going to do those two next. But also anybody watching this, they can use the dollar analysis on like a whole bunch of other Forex pairs as well. So I feel like if I just do the dollar, it helps everybody. But I strictly trade US 30 and NAS 100. Sometimes other indices, but for the most part, those ones. Mostly NAS. I don't trade gold, no. I never got into gold. There's been a couple times where I've attempted to trade it, but I don't know. There's like no room in my heart for it. My heart's already with the index, you know? It's just unnecessary, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not even gonna lie, I will look at the gold chart to also like correlate an analysis for like the stock market as well, because it also moves in opposition to the dollar. So I like to kind of look and see where people are putting their money. Okay, so option number one is what we just said. Price opens slightly lower on Sunday. Then pushes up into the levels Okay, so this is a bearish candle right here. And honestly, I would not be surprised if we had some sort of a consolidation candle this week as well. But I'm mainly watching that level of sell side liquidity. It's just too obvious. I feel like that could be a Monday move where it just dips and gives us a really good buy. And then we kind of just let it do what it wants to do for the rest of the week. Okay. So this is option number 2, and this is going to be a bear. This would be that week ending as a bullish candle. So I'll show you what I see for that one real quick. So we'll leave this bearish one up. Okay, so basically I see price like, so I see price like kind of opening higher on like Sunday, or maybe doing something like this. And then on Monday we come into here, this area, maybe this imbalance, and then we sell into the sell side, right? Maybe down here, maybe just in this area. And this would be like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we go back up to the upside, right? So that's like a bullish week that I could possibly see happening. Because everybody's going to be getting in the market like, oh, we're bearish, we're bearish, we're bearish. CPI data suggests, you know what I'm saying? And then the market just turns around and takes it back up. Which I'm speaking from experience, people getting caught in liquidity sweep. Okay. So that is a bullish scenario that I can see happening. I kind of just want to take a peek and see if there's any order blocks. Okay, so this kind of got tapped. This is an unmitigated order block that we should probably also keep our eyes on. It looks like if I had fibbed the 6-month candle, that this could be where the 70% is. But like I said, we're just going to worry about the closer ones first, okay? And we'll just let it develop. Let's see. So we have on the 4-hour imbalances and stuff. Trying to find a good order block. Hmm. Right, well, I mean, this is technically order block right here, but I just personally prefer ones that look like this. But there's definitely an order block that looks like this on some time frame in here somewhere. But there's imbalance here as well. So we're gonna have to see where price wants to go at what time during the week. I always talk about Tuesday, Wednesday, wherever price is. It's kind of that'll tell you where the direction of the week is going, because usually pivots happen Tuesday, Wednesday, and price wants to be overbought or oversold before it starts to expand, because like I said, the institutions are trying to get the most money. So if it's going to be bearish, then they want to overbuy price to get like the premium before it sells off. And then if it's going to be bullish, they want it to be oversold so they can get the cheapest price before it starts to expand to the upside. So I guess that's my 2 cents on the dollar. We're gonna go ahead and screenshot. All right, moving on to NASDAQ. I'm still learning what the futures name for it. MNQ. MNQ. Okay. All right, so let's go back and look at last week's analysis real quick. Okay, so what did we actually end here? I think this was bullish, or was it? That was bearish. It's bearish, but this is a consolidation candle realistically, because as you can see, it just went back and forth. But let's check out what our bearish one said. So last week, our pivot seemed like it was on Thursday, I want to say, which is a late pivot. Okay, so price heads to the negative. Oh, yeah. Okay, see, okay, yeah. Okay, so price heads to the negative 27 first in the week and uses the remainder of the week to sell into the bullish weekly order block. Okay, so this was that order block I was talking about. It did make a great attempt to get there, but it didn't quite get there. However, it did come into this breaker block. That this is why this box is there, because there was a breaker block here. So that was a pretty good area of support that it came to, which I suggested that right here. There's also a breaker block at the 50%, which could be used as a viable level of support. So that's what it ended up using. So just to show y'all, here was our Sunday open. Price climbed higher throughout the whole week and hit our negative 27, which is where this line was. The negative 27 was of this expansion. So I'll just show you real quick if you didn't see this. So I had fibbed this price leg and we were breaking out of our retracement obviously last week. Or we did break out of it, excuse me, and I just used the negative 27 to figure out how high price was going to go before it retraced again. So yeah, Sunday open price climbed all the way up to our negative 27, literally hit it perfectly to a T. Like, man, it's crazy. And then just sold off. And we had a little bit of a retracement on Friday, which is perfectly normal. And it kind of made another attempt to the downside, but the market closed. So that's so crazy. Look at this. Last edited July 6th. So you know I'm not making this up, okay? Because it's the 13th. So I had this written in there. And I literally said in the group, this analysis is fire. I just have a feeling about it. So praise God. Okay. So this week though, let's see. It kind of, I'm getting bearish vibes on the NASDAQ. Also US 30, which we'll talk about in a second. But the reason for that is because it's like it obviously it hit its next bullish objective already, and then it immediately sold off. It broke multiple levels of structure here. If we go to the 4-hour, it broke a 4-hour swing low. If we go to the daily, it also broke a daily swing low, and then it gave us this beautiful bearish order block, which it tapped into, and it had a bearish reaction yet again. So to me, it still looks like it's attempting to come down and tap into this order block here, that it never exactly tapped into. And mainly, let's see, why is this 78 here? I don't remember what this is. This line right here. I think it could be 6 month and 3 month fib line. That's interesting. Okay, well, this is like some sort of significant level here, but I guess we'll not worry about that. I'm gonna have to go watch my own analysis to figure out what that is. So yeah, and we have this huge wick right here, which is obviously a rejection wick. I don't think it's gonna stay down for long. You know what I mean? But structure is just telling me that it's wanting to go lower. Let's see what the weekly candle looks like. Feeling. Micro price. Okay. So that weekly order block, I'm gonna just mark the wick real quick of it. I don't think the NASDAQ's gonna stay down for long because it never really does. I think it just wants to tap into that order block and then continue going higher. We saw a new high on US 30, and I think I want to say S&P made a new high as well. So obviously we have this break of structure right here. After these breaks of structure, we had that daily bearish order block that we saw, and prices perfectly to the golden zone of the Fibonacci. So if we get another bearish week, I can see this happening. Price would open a bit lower and then it would come and retrace. Okay. Maybe all the way even up into here, and we could sweep this high, right? And then continue lower towards that order block. Or we just get an opening, maybe like lower. This is like Monday, and then here's our Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And then we just get an expansion to the upside. So for this bullish one, I know it looks pretty similar. For this bullish one, this would be like your Sunday open, this would be your Monday, and then we come down here and we take last week's low, as well as maybe some other, fill these imbalances right here. Maybe we take down here, who knows? And then we continue to the upside. So this would be like your Tuesday, Wednesday pivot. Okay. So if price is right here on Tuesday and Wednesday, just know that it's possibly gonna keep going. Or maybe we don't make a new high. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's when we come in to fill this imbalance here, and then the next week we sell off. Okay, but just know it's going to go in an upward direction. So for the bearish week, we have open lower on Sunday and Monday, right? And then we get a push. This would be our Tuesday, Wednesday. Price lands somewhere in here. And then we get a sell off again to continue lower into that order block. So that would be our bearish. And then our bullish. What's up, Isaiah? All right, then. So let's just go ahead and screenshot this. And I just want to take one more look at the higher time frame real quick, just in case we get like a significant sell-off. I just want to peep. And I also really want to figure out why this line is here. No, I think we're good for now, because if price was to sell off, there's a lot of room for it to just stay in this order block, which if you're a support and resistance trader, this is also going to be your support right here as well. So I think we're good for now. Okay. All right, and then we can look at US 30 after this. If you watched the recording of the call last week, I was definitely throwing shade at US 30 because it was in this like super weird consolidation, but it broke out. Like all I did for analysis last week was literally mark the liquidity points. And on Monday, it actually gave a very nice setup because it just swept into this liquidity and then sold off back below Sunday opening price, which was a very phenomenal setup. And one. Okay. Did we get a new high last week? We did get a new high. Oh my gosh, I wasn't even paying attention on Friday. That's crazy. Finally, geez, this chart has been going nowhere. And is this an all-time high? Yep, there we go. There you go, US 30. I knew you had it anyway. What time frame do I enter on NASDAQ? I like to enter on the 1 minute. That's usually the time frame I'm like trying to get an entry on. But it can be anywhere from like the 1 minute to the 5 minute. I try to get in and out of the market as fast as possible. I'm being completely honest. Okay, so let's talk about this. So we definitely had some rejection here already because of that wick right there. And since we broke out and we created a new all-time high, we want to anticipate that price is going to give us some healthy movement, and that would mean a retracement. We all know that indexes are bullish over the long run. It's just what they do. And even though some of them might go crazy, we still want to anticipate and create our analysis off of what healthy price action does. So what we can do is, let's just find where price broke. So it broke right here a little bit, and then it kind of did give us a retracement when it did that sweep. So we'll just go ahead and fib this price leg right here. Okay. So I'm not going to mark these fib levels because I don't leave stuff on my chart like that. No, I don't swing NAS. But just for reference, as you can see, the 50% is right here. There's relative equal lows right here. So I would say that that is a spot that price is likely going to be drawn to. And then further down, you have our optimal trade entry. Further down, you have our optimal trade entry. So obviously, if price was to come down there, it's filling all this imbalance. There's an order block right here on a higher time frame. It's probably going to look better. Yeah, there we go. 4 hour. This looks a lot better. There is going to be some sort of breaker block right here, but price tapped it already. So if price wants to come down again, it may still hold as a level of support, but since it's been tapped already, it's probably going to be a bit weaker. Okay. So here's what I think could happen. If we get a bearish week, we may see price open lower and we may see price come up first. Okay. It could sweep its own high and then give us a bounce, and then it hits the -27, right? And then that would be our Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we could get a sell-off for the rest of the week. And this would close as a bearish weekly candle. So that's kind of like a rough analysis of where I think price could go first. Price could open lower and sweep right here and then go up. And this would be our Tuesday, Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? And then it will continue down again. That could also be a possibility. For a bullish week, I see price opening higher first, sweeping its own high. who knows, maybe coming all the way up here, but we'll just put this here for now. And then price is going to come down and seek some form of sell side liquidity before it can have enough juice to go back up. Maybe it'll create that internally during the week and it doesn't need to go down that far and it just sweeps its own consolidation and then it continues higher into that negative 27. Or it could come into these equal lows or this area down here and then continue higher. Okay, so let's write that in. Okay, so our option one. Price opens lower on Sunday-ish and then pushes upward to possibly sweep its high of last week or negative 27. So that would be the bearish option. And then our bullish one. Okay. So we have that. I would just like to note, I'm not going to write this down, but I would just like to note all this liquidity right here. Okay, because I'll say it again, I always go for the closest objectives, but it's very important that you have a bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? Because technically speaking, this is all one price leg as well. You know, so the 50% of this price leg is going to be right where this liquidity pool is. So that's a confluence in and of itself. I know that US 30 just made an all-time high, but US 30 has been extremely weak. Okay, and it's very fragile. So for it to make a down move that far would not surprise me at all. Let's see. This is all liquidity. Like there's just so much liquidity down here, you know what I'm saying? So just keep an eye on it. Because if price starts to like fall off the face of the earth, don't feel like you don't know what's going on, because you do know what's going on. It's seeking sell side liquidity. Okay. But that's it for me. I'm just gonna screenshot this and I'm done. What time is it? It's 1 o'clock. Anybody have any questions before we cut this recording?
No, definitely. Thank you.
I can't hear you if you're talking. I only saw the green thing go over your picture. Okay. All right then. All right. Sounds good, guys. I'll see you in the chats. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's hit that algorithm and get a trading group that is for the kingdom out there. Spread the love, spread the light. Other than that, spread the bag too, you know. So I'll see you in the chat. If you are not in the group, you're more than welcome to join Regnum Exchange. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week.